I went down the Reddit rabbit hole for you. I read through the subreddits for Ask Women Over 30 and Ask Old People, and you know what I found? I found lots of regret. Not about YOLO purchases, but about these 10 money traps that sneak up in your 30s and mess up with your 40s. And as an elder millennial, I can personally vouch that if you can avoid these mistakes, you will be better off. Hey everyone, welcome to Sisters for Financial Independence. My name is Catherine John, and here at Sisters for Fi, I share money lessons to help you get better with your money so that you have more to live, give, and pass on to the next generation. Today's video, I'm dedicating to my younger sister who is going to turn 30 in the next few months. Whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or even older, I believe these mistakes are pretty universal, and I think that if we can avoid them, we all could be better off when it comes to our finances. The first trap that you need to avoid is the consumption trap. Now, I know that we are in the age of TikTok, we are in the age of influencers, we are in the age of tap to pay, but all of these things lead us to constantly consume, to look for the next shiny thing, the next upgrade. And unfortunately, continuing on this cycle of consumption is bad for our wallet. So we really need to look at what we're spending money on and see if it makes sense for the kind of life that we want for ourselves today and in the future. Lifestyle creep is very normal and very possible in your 30s, especially because you likely are making more money. Maybe you've moved on to your second or third job and you've gotten raises and salary increases along the way. But now this isn't just about lifestyle creep. It's about algorithm fueled consumption. It's you versus the marketing machine that's on 24/7 that makes it very easy and normal to spend. So as a young person in your 30s, it's time to really think about what you're spending your money on and see if it makes sense. And it might be time to pull back on your consumption so that you can start learning those habits to say no, to get out of social media, to stop being in the cycle of wanting things. I know I sound like an old person telling you to get off your phone, stop buying crap that you don't need, but I'm also you 10 years from now, and you will likely find yourself in an apartment full of crappy furniture, in an apartment full of junk that you never even got a chance to use. I want you to be careful about going into lifestyle inflation and constantly upgrading, because that will come to bite you years from now. A lot of our spending right now, especially in the age of social media, is really driven by ego, this desire to impress others or keep up with the perceived expectations of wealth and success. This does not bode well for your bank account. So I want you to think about this quote from Morgan Housel and his book, The Psychology of Money, which I absolutely recommend that you read. And this quote says, "Saving is the gap between your ego and your income." When your spending is heavily influenced by ego, there's going to be a smaller gap between your income and what you spend, leaving less room for saving. In your 20s, spending can seem like the default. But as you move into your 30s, it's time to start creating some habits that will provide you more options and financial security. And you can only do that by saving and investing starting today. The next trap to avoid in your 30s is delaying investing. Now, many people think that you need a lot of money to start investing, but actually you don't. You just need to have a consistent amount that you're putting in and investing in a broad, diversified investment portfolio. Now, when I got out of college, I sat with my mom at our dinner table and we reviewed the employee benefits package that I got as a new IT analyst. Her first suggestion to me was to always contribute to a 401k. But I, young as I was, thinking I was cool, I knew everything, said, no, I don't want to do that because I want to live and use my money today. Why should I think about retirement now? I just got out of college. I did a double major. I spent all this time working part-time, doing internship. I want my money now. But my mom was very insistent and say, just put in whatever is the match at your company so that you can set money aside for your future self. 3 jobs later, 3 companies later, I continued to do that. I continued to invest. And now, in my 40s, I have a little nest egg that grows over time. Now, if you keep waiting to invest, you will miss out. And if you keep waiting until the right time, there will never be a right time. You will miss out on the growth. And one of the things that people don't realize when it comes to investing is that compound interest actually favors those who have the time, not the money. So the earlier you can put your money to work, the better for you. When you invest, you're going to be investing in these companies that you are using, that are part of your daily life, whether that's the technology that you're using, the food you're consuming, and all sorts of things. So you want to be part of that growth of the US economy and invest early and often. Waiting to invest is likely going to be one of the most expensive decisions you will make in your 30s. If you don't invest today, you will likely miss out on a decade of growth. And then when you get to your 40s, you're going to scramble to need to put money into your investment accounts, put more so that you have more of it when you're finally retired. If you are ready to get started with investing, then this video is going to be for you. And I also want to encourage you that investing is all about long-term growth. So if you have money in your Roth IRA, if you have money in a 401k, do not touch those. Those are not for emergencies. That is for future you. If you take out money now, you will pay a penalty, you will miss out on growth, and you will also likely have to pay taxes on those. Stay patient, let that money grow over time, and figure out ways to increase income or lower your expenses so you're not touching those retirement accounts, and you can allow that to grow for future you. The next money trap that you are going to avoid are these subscriptions and micro spending. Now, they've made it really easy for us to continuously consume. We cover that as the number 1 trap to avoid. And subscriptions have this way of sneaking up on us. They're automatically charged. We sometimes don't review them that often, but these small charges can add up to big money. Also, be careful with micro spending. Micro spending is this $5, $10 things that you're buying because they're so easy. You tap your phone, you buy something, and then you have whatever item you have. All of these are small items that end up costing you big in the long run. So you want to address that habit of micro spending and make sure that you have a good budget in place and a good starting point when it comes to spending on those little things. Remember that a big part of this too is to think about your future self. The habits that you're forming in your 30s will carry with you into your 40s and 50s. It will carry with you when you have children. So if you are constantly doing all of this micro spending on yourself, imagine what that will look like when you have kids. How much of your hard-earned money is going to be going to small amounts, taps here, there, and then that's going to really eat up your budget. The next money trap that you are going to avoid in your 30s is carrying high interest credit card debt. This is not a holy grail. If you don't understand how to use it, you will get yourself in a lot of trouble, meaning you will rack up so much debt, accumulating interest, and it will be very hard to get out of. Credit card interest right now is at an all-time high, and it will likely remain in that higher stage for years to come. So you want to be careful with your credit card use. The challenge with credit cards is that they give you an illusion of extra income. Say you make $70,000 a year, but you're carrying $20,000 worth of a credit card debt. That means you have added $20,000 of fake income into your lifestyle. This is how you get into a lifestyle creep. This is how you get into credit card debt, because you are borrowing money, especially at the rate it is today, at a rate of 20+%. More of your money is being eaten up by interest rates, and it means it's harder to pay off. Credit card usage and credit card debt also correlates to bad spending habits. So if you don't corral those spending habits in your 30s, they will take on a new life in your 40s and 50s as you try to keep up with your existing lifestyle. In your 30s, you want to avoid credit card debt and try to pay it off as much as you can. Now, I get it though, I have been in credit card debt and it's hard to pay off. So I'm going to recommend another video in here at Sisters for Fi where we talk about some of the ways you can start paying off your credit card debt, as well as all of the ways you need to understand how credit cards work. Many of us actually start carrying credit card debt because we don't know how interest works and we don't know how our billing cycle works. I'm going to link a playlist on how to pay off credit card debt up here so that you can review all of those nuances when it comes to credit card debt and finally get rid of that so that you are not carrying credit card debt once you hit mid-30s as well as 40s. You will thank yourself later for that. The next money trap that you are going to avoid is not having an emergency fund. I know you're young, I know you're invincible, and I know that you can probably get scrappy and get a second job or two, but not having an emergency fund puts you in a very precarious situation. It will limit your thought process. It will also drain your mental energy just thinking about the possibility of losing a job and not having enough funds to cover your needs. Emergency funds will vary depending if you have some kind of fallback, like you could always go home to your parents for a few months, then your emergency fund may not be as high, but you need to set money aside for when the unthinkable happens. And the unthinkable can be anything. It could be a job loss. It could be a diagnosis of some sort. You want to put money aside because you want the space and time to make the right decision and make the right moves for yourself, so you're not putting yourself in a toxic environment or putting yourself in a financial downward spiral. Now, an emergency fund will be there to cover your basic expenses. So you need to understand what your basic expenses are. These are baseline items that you will need to survive. Unfortunately, no luxuries. And you need to be setting that money aside for yourself. If you have not created an emergency fund, your first action item, if you're in your 30s, is to have one and put money aside. I have a longer video here, and it is about walking you through how to create an emergency fund, where you're going to park it, what kind of account you're going to make, and how much you'll want to put inside that emergency fund so that you have peace of mind. The one thing that you are going to learn over the years is that money can buy both the tangible stuff as well as the intangible stuff. Stuff like security, stuff like having peace of mind, knowing that you have funds in place for when something happens and you can access those funds easily. This video is brought to you by my new ebook, Smart Start. We talk about your first money moves after graduation or for any young adult who are just entering the workforce. We go through the basic personal finance, the accounts you'll want to create the minute you get out of school, as well as all of the other advice and tips I wish I received when I was a young adult. Now, of course, all of this stuff is everywhere on the internet. The point of this book is to give you clarity on what you need to do. You can consume as much TikTok content as you want, but you need to be taking action. You need to actually open that investment account, open that high yield savings account, and start funding it. If you're interested in the basics of money foundations, pick up this book off of Amazon. I will link it in the description for you to check out. We're halfway through the video. If one of these money traps has resonated with you, let me know in the comments and give this video a like and share it with someone else who's about to enter their 30s era. The next money trap that you are going to want to avoid in your 30s is overspending on life events. Things like a wedding, a dream vacation, a brand new car. All of these things you deserve, I know, but you want to make sure you review the cost, not just the final price, but the transaction costs and any other ancillary costs that come with it. You want to look at that in the broad view. We all want beautiful things. We all want to go to beautiful places. We also want things that might be Instagram worthy or something from our Pinterest board. Many of this stuff costs money, and if you are not careful, you could go into spending overdrive getting this stuff, trying to copy someone else's version of their beautiful wedding or their beautiful dream vacation. You don't want to be paying for some of these luxuries years from now. You want to have a good time, but have it paid for immediately. Having a wedding and attending weddings are likely going to be the larger events you'll be doing more in your 30s. So you want to make sure you're budgeting for those. You don't want to be wedding poor, and you also don't want to be a guest poor when it comes to weddings. Assess what your budget is when it comes to your own wedding, as well as when you are a guest at a wedding. It's fun, it's great that you are able to throw a great party, but this party is only one night, and you don't want to be going into credit card debt or any other debt for a wedding that will last only a few hours. You want to be mindful of that, right? You don't want to be paying for this wedding for 10 years. So in your 30s, as you move through different life stages, assess what you value and what you want to be spending your money on. The next thing you're going to want to avoid in your 30s is not taking care of your body. Now, in your 20s, your metabolism is high, you have high energy, you can eat a burger and it won't affect you. But over the years, especially in your 30s, there is a shift. And this is especially for young women. We need to start taking care of ourselves better, and we need to start forming those habits. So your 30s will be the opportunity for you to do that. Do not waste your 30s continuing those negative or not so good habits you formed in your 20s. Healthcare costs in America are no joke, even with insurance. One hospital stay, one chronic condition, and even one surgery can put you in the medical debt. So you cannot afford to ignore your health in your 30s. You have to try your best to do what you can to be as healthy as possible. The habits that feel small now, that you feel like you can disregard, like too much smoking, drinking, or fast food, will become expensive later. It's super important that as you move into your 30s, you start adopting these habits. Quit smoking, drink less, walk more, cook more at home so that you can form these positive habits moving forward. You're either going to have to pay for your health now or pay for it later, and prevention is going to be much cheaper than treatment. As a woman, especially if kids are in your vision of the future, you want to start taking care of your body now. Pregnancy has gotten harder and harder over the past few years due to a whole range of things. There are hormone disruptors affecting our body. There's a lot in the environment. There's stress. So we want to start taking care of our body. So if and when you are ready to have a child, you have the right environment, the right mental space to finally conceive. Having a child is very expensive, and if you do end up going through the process of IVF or adoption, this costs money. If your future vision includes children, then you want to start planning for that. The next trap that you are going to avoid in your 30s are the buy now, pay later programs. These are offered by Klarna and Afterpay. And while these programs make things affordable by splitting payments into 4 or 6, they keep you in this cycle of payments. and it also keeps you again in the cycle of consumption. And there is stress that's going to be associated with this money, and in the long run, any late fees that come with it. When it comes to using these buy now, pay later programs, rethink if what you're buying is important enough for you to be making payments for months on end. Be careful with these, because even if they're small payments, they just keep you in that cycle, and you want to break free from that cycle of monthly payments. The costs to them add up, the costs to your mental energy add up, so you want to review the fine print, avoid this as much as you can. With these BNPL programs, you're basically borrowing future money to pay for today's stuff. Is the stuff that you're buying today really that important that you want to allocate future income for that item? The next money trap that you want to avoid in your 30s is not talking money with your partner. If you are partnered up, you want to start having a money conversation with your partner. You want to align on values, on how you want to spend your money, on how you're going to save, and how you view the future. A partner who doesn't have the same values or goals as you can actually weigh you down when it comes to accomplishing your financial goals. Now, you both don't have to be money experts. You both don't have to make a lot of money, but you both have to be willing to have the conversation, willing to change, willing to grow and learn more about money. We all come from different money backgrounds, especially if you come from a different culture, different religion, who has a different thought process when it comes to money, or if you come from money already and you know that you have safeguards in place, as well as other education that you've received about money. When you are going to combine your life and your finances, money is going to be a big thing. So you want to start having that conversation now in your 30s, because by the time you move on to the serious stuff, when kids are in the picture, when you're buying a house, you want to be on the same page. You don't have to agree 100% with each other. My husband and I don't 100% agree, but we come together, we talk about it, and we understand each other's perspective, and you need to do that now. Otherwise, when you are in the hard times, when you are later on in life, it's going to be very hard to change your ways, change your partner's ways, so you want those conversations early. Now, if you are in the stage where you are partnered up and perhaps you combine finances, you're married, no kids, you are in what's called DINK life, dual income, no kids. This is your golden opportunity. Create a strong financial foundation for yourself and your family. Dual income, no kids means more of your money can go to building the foundations. Pay off high interest, invest, save for an emergency fund. Doing it together will mean doing it faster. It will also mean you have each other's support. DINK life can be your opportunity to get aggressive with some of your financial goals. I know it can be easy to do the brunch every Saturday, no kids in tow, and all of these other things like travel. But you want that balance of wanting to save for your future self, but also live today. So figure that out for yourself. Money won't fix everything, but having some in the bank will surely make things a lot easier. And if kids are in your vision of the future, having funds in place can make things easier. Kids are expensive, and if you and your partner are aligned with what you want to spend your money on when it comes to kids, when it comes to your house, then that will make those money fights a little bit easier, and then you can at least settle into the groove of your life without the anxiety of money hanging over you. The next trap that you are going to want to avoid in your 30s is not investing in your career. Now, in your 20s, you're probably still learning, you're still in an entry-level job, but as you move into your 30s, you'll likely be entering your second or third or fourth job. And this is your opportunity to level up upgrade your skills. It can be very easy to be at a job for 3 to 5 years. You can get comfortable in there and you can get paid well too. But you do need to start thinking about future you. What does that look like? What kind of positions do you want for your future self? And this is the time to start thinking about it and start making those moves. Whether it's negotiating your salary, going on informational interviews, taking a course, or just upgrading your skills, your 30s is the perfect time to do so, especially if you don't have yet other family obligations that can eat up some of your time. So don't forget to think about your career. I know it can be nice to be settled into a job, nice to have that comfort in the job that you have, but you always want to make sure that you have the skills so that you can move on to the next position with clarity and with confidence. Because we don't talk about it enough, I also want to re-emphasize that if kids are in your vision of the future, what will your career look like? Whether you are going to be a stay-at-home mom, going part-time, or hiring the best nanny out there to help you raise your kids. Think about that too as you figure out your next career move. How will family impact it, and what kind of positions will you be looking for? And make sure that you know that you can negotiate for flexible time so you can both have the career that you want as well as the family structure that you want. It just takes a little bit of planning. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Social media has made it seem like everyone is winning with their money. You see people going on vacation. You see people buying houses, renovating those houses, and it seems like everything is instant. But unfortunately, all of those are highlight reels. We don't see the backstory. We don't see how some people have been budgeting for years to afford those. We don't see if they're going into credit card debt to go on vacation. We don't see if they come from family money. So let's look at all of those things and be discerning about what people post about their lifestyle. Good money habits take time and patience. Good money habits take practice. Wealth takes time to build, and building a foundation in your 30s can help. The truth is, there are no shortcuts. Your 30s is going to be 10 years. There's a lot that can happen in 10 years. The life that you want is going to take some time. Be patient. Learn how money works and focus on the small, consistent action. Your 30s is a fun decade. You are making more money, you can do more things, you're a little bit more mature, but it's also the prime time to start preparing for a future family, for a future project you want to do, for anything else that comes later on in life. Unfortunately, the traps are everywhere and they can add to your anxiety, they can cause financial stress between you and your partner, and they can lead you to make decisions that might not be good in the long term. So if you're able to avoid them, please do so. Which of these money traps have you seen, have you fallen into, or absolutely want to avoid? Let me know in the comments. And if you are a little bit older like me, share your wisdom in the comments. We need to start talking about this and start sharing our lessons, our mistakes, so that the next generation don't have to go through the same things. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Sisters 4-5 for more money lessons to help you with your money. To help you manage your money better, I'm going to recommend these 2 money lessons. And I've dropped a few other videos as well as the ebook link in the description for you to check out. Thank you so much for joining me here at Sisters for Financial Independence. I will see you in the next video.